Welcome everyone, Hobie-Wan Kenobi here. Today I'm doing something a little different. I'm doing an ice fishing video. It's going to be covering how to use a flasher, which is a pretty staple piece of electronics when you're ice fishing. It makes you way more efficient, so stay tuned. And also make sure you comment below what ice fishing videos you want to see, and don't forget to subscribe. A fish, if you see at the 8-foot mark, that's a nicer hit. Today I'm going to show you how to use a flasher. A lot of people call them Vexilars. This one so happens to be a Marcum. And a couple other companies too, like Humminbird and Garmin make them as well. But what they are is they're ice fishing sonars. So they're just like you're on the boat sonar. They're going to kick sound waves down, return them back up, and if there's fish or soft bottom, hard bottom, it's going to be able to tell you all that. And it's also going to tell you if there's fish suspended in the water column and where your lure is at as well. So to get started, you have a battery in the back. You have the head unit, of course, right here. That's kind of the brain box of the operation. And a lot of times they come with these carrying cases like this, so I can just pick it up. You can hop from hole to hole and be pretty mobile doing it. And they're pretty lightweight. I have a lithium battery in there, so it's a little bit lighter, and also it lasts longer on the water. So jumping into it, head unit, like I said, you have your transducer arm that'll swing out, and you have your transducer, so pull that out. What's really nice about these transducers is that they're self-leveling. It's not like your open water sonar where you have to sit there and mess with the water line, make sure everything is lined up. So if that just hangs there, it's completely parallel with the bottom. It's going to give you an accurate readout every single time. Your first time using it, you're going to want to, you have a stopper on here. You're going to want to adjust that stopper so it hits just underneath the ice. So I like to put the transducer down, and I just keep going, and then I lift up with my cord on the side. I just keep pulling, and then I drop it down a couple inches. So this is pretty much good how I had it set. All right, so to turn it on, you have this range knob here. It's going to have off, 20, 40, 80, and 160. So turning it on to 20 mode, you're gonna fill in a lot of different colors here, and I'll explain that here in a second. So starting at the 12 o'clock position, that's wherever your transducer is at. And then your 6 o'clock position is 10 feet. If you see 9, it's 15. And then coming all the way back up near like the 11 o'clock position, you see there's 19. Say if it was 30 feet, it would just look like blank, and you'd have to turn it over to 40. So the bottom, see, it's about at 4.5. So I'd have to double that. So that'd be at 9. I'll switch back to 20 because we're shallower. A fish, if you see at the 8-foot mark, that's clearly a fish there. There's some gap, the separation off the bottom. And there's a fish that's kind of moving in and out. Anything that moves is typically going to be fish as well. So how I like to read the bottom is reading it counterclockwise until the very edge. So you see it's about 9 feet where that red stops. And that's most likely going to be bottom. Looks like there might be some fish on the bottom. And what those colors mean is red is the most hard return, or the strongest return, I should say. So that means you're gonna be hitting rock, you're gonna be hitting really hard like sand bottom, or you're gonna be seeing fish as well, and that's gonna be directly underneath the cone. On this Marcum unit, the next color is going to be green. Green is your in-between, it's kind of your middle return. So a lot of times it's what fish are going to look like if they're just outside the cone. And also sometimes you get weeds that way, but a lot of times your weeds are gonna show up kind of a mix of green and yellow. And what yellow is, that's your weakest return. So if you look at it, your transducer as a cone going out, right now it's 20 degrees. So if you got something that's right on the edge of your cone, a lot of times that's what fish are gonna look like. They're gonna be yellow, especially if it's coming in and out, because we know that weeds don't move. And then as it comes closer, it'll be yellow, green, and then closer to the hole, it might be red. It hits your lure, then you got a fish. So your zoom feature, you press the zoom button, it's gonna cut your screen in half. So you press that, everything on the right side that's your entire water column condensed, and everything on the left side is going to be where your zoom is. If you see there's 2 flashing yellow lines, it's 2.5 feet. So anything within those flashing lines is gonna display on the left side. So I'll keep pressing down. It starts to fill in around the 6 o'clock position. That's where the bottom is. I like to give it a few clicks through there just so I know I know where the bottom is, and I can work this whole water column here. All right, so one function that's on here, it's called super fine line. What that's going to do is going to make all these lines that you see on here, it's going to make them a lot smaller. What that does is decreases your target separation. What target separation is the ability for your flasher to be able to distinguish the distance between 2 items. So I just press that here. It makes everything a lot more fine, so it's gonna be harder for the camera to pick up, but I can see what's going on a lot better. All right, so putting everything into practice, I'm gonna drop my lure down. Ooh, there we go. That's a nicer hit. I take the transducer out just so you don't get tangled up. That was a nicer hit. Ooh, that's a nice bluegill. That's decent. You know, that one came up, that crushed it. That was a good hit. I do like using soft plastic as well. Most times, especially early ice like this, it's going to be pretty aggressive fish that you're on. In this lure right here, it's the Eurotackle Plankton. It's a pretty flat profile, but it's not a huge profile, so you can still fish it pretty finesse, and also being that flat profile, it's going to show up on your flasher a little bit better. There we go. Keep away from that transducer. I see it. Looks like a little crappie. Oh, there's a bigger crappie. Pull and drag on the way down. That elevator. Another thing worth mentioning too is you don't have to go out and buy a dedicated ice fishing flasher. I like a flasher like this. It's just easier to read than a digital one. But if you already have a, you know, like a medium to small size sonar for your boat, a lot of times you can get an ice fishing transducer and you can just plug that in and you can fish just like that, and it's just as effective, and you'll have mapping as well, so you can, you know, see the contours of the lake, or if you have waypoints already saved on your head unit in the summertime, you can easily just, you know, bring them with you out on the ice that way. All right, so as you see, a flasher is an invaluable tool for ice fishing. I used to fish without one for years, and then I finally got one, and it's made me a lot more efficient. So I'm gonna get back to fishing. It's been a pretty good day so far. Now that I found some a little bit bigger fish, I'm gonna see if I can get a few for the table.